Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki, Shri Mayapur Navadeep Dham Ki, Shri Chaitra Jagannath Puri Dham Ki, Ganga Maya Ki, Jamuna Maya Ki, Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani Ki, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki, Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devyam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Madhirayat Nastapreshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Jnanatamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurue Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radha Vrindavani Svare Visubhana Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namaste Girirajaya Shri Govardhana Namane Sheshaklesha Nashaya Paramananda Daine Vancha Kalpatarabhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mare Kabando Mat Sangin Mad Guru Man Madana Mad Nistaraka Mad Bhagya Madananda Namostate Asadu Sadu Tadayanati Nicho Tatakara Hanamuncha Karachin Mam Premnarit Katayos Puraha Ajanulambita Bhuja Kanaka Vadatta Sankirtanai Kapitara Kamalaya Taksha Vishvambara Dvishavara Yugadama Palau Vande Jagat Priya Karu Karuna Avataro. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Creation of the Fourth Order, chapter number 29, talks between Narada and King Parchinibari, text number 9 and 10. I'll read 9 and then we'll do 10 responsively. Akshini Naishike Asyam Iti Pancha Pura Krita Dakshina Karna Uttara Chotara Smita Pashtime Yityado Dwaro Godam Shishnamiho Yahochate. Translation. 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, and a mouth, altogether 5, are situated in the front. The right ear is accepted as the southern gate, and the left ear is accepted as the northern gate. The 2 holes or gates situated in the west are known as the rectum and genital organ. Purport. Of all sides, the eastern is considered most important, primarily because the sun rises from that direction. The gates on the eastern side, the eyes, the nose, and mouth, are thus very important gates in the body. Text 10. Kadyota Virmukhi Chatra Netre Ekatra Nirmite Rupam Vibrajitam Tabhyam Vichaste Chakshushe Kadyota Vimukhi Chatra Netre Ekatra Nirmite Rupam Vibrajitam Tabhyam Vichaste Chakshushe Kadyota Vimukhi Chatra Netre Ekatra Nirmite Rupam Vibrajitam Tabhyam Vichaste Chakshushe Kadyota Virmukhi Chatra Netre Ekatra Nirmite Rupam Vibrajitam Tabhyam Vichaste Chukshasheshvara Kadyota Vimukhi Chatra Netre Ekatra Nirmite Rupam Vibrajitam Tabhyam Vichaste Chakshuseshvara
Mukti Chakra
Kadyota Virmukhi Chatra Netre Ekatra Nirmite Rupam Vibrajitam Tabyam
Vishakti Chaksus Vara
Vishchaste Chakshuseshvara. Word for word. Kadyota, named Kadyota. Avirmukhi, named Avirmukhi. Cha, also. Atra, here. Netre, the two eyes. Ekatra, in one place. Nirmite, created. Rupam, form. Vibrajitam, named Vibrajita. Brilliant. Tabyam, through the eyes. Vichaste, perceive. Chakshusha, with the sense of light. Ishvaraha, the master. Translation. The two gates named Kadyota and Avirmukhi, which have been spoken of, are the two eyes side by side in one place. The town named Vibrajita should be understood as form. In this way, the two eyes are always engaged in seeing different kinds of forms. Please repeat. The two gates named Kadyota and Avirmukhi, which have been spoken of, are the two eyes side by side in one place. The town named Vibrajita should be understood as form. In this way, the two eyes are always engaged in seeing different kinds of forms. Purport. The two eyes are attracted by brilliant things like light. Sometimes we find that little insects are attracted by the brightness of fire and thus enter into it. Similarly, the two eyes of the living entity are attracted by bright and beautiful forms. They are entangled in these forms exactly as the insect becomes attracted to fire. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadare Nirvishesha Shanyavari Paschitade Shatadare Namaste Jivanandaya Dasaya Vanachanine Prabhupada Vallabhaya Snehasulavanorine Agyana Dwanta Gamanam Pashtita Patitatmanam Jnana Guru Teya Chita Harine Chakshashe Namaha. So we're still hearing about the 9 gates. We were hearing Narada Muni break down this analogy, which we've been going through. The analogy which is being spoken to Maharaj Prachini Bari by Narada Muni. And he's breaking down this analogy which he gave over the past few chapters. And now he's describing the various elements and what they represent. And so now we're hearing about each gate of the body. There are 9 gates in the body. And people are generally trying to enjoy out of all these different gates. And so we're hearing about how the eyes enjoy by form. In what way do the eyes enjoy form? Like a sunset. Say that again? Yes. Yes. But some examples of that we can enjoy. Mountain, sunset, a beautiful person of the opposite gender. And so the forms are, in this way, the eyes are enjoying form. So, this is interesting because although we have such a desire to enjoy form, and there's such a sense that form is for our enjoyment, we're hearing here how the form entangled us. Prabhupada says they are entangled in these forms exactly as an insect becomes attracted to fire. So Prabhupada does not mince words. One of the beautiful things about Srila Prabhupada is because he is a representative of the Srimad Bhagavatam, he basically represents full surrender to Krishna. And he speaks on that level all the time of full surrender to Krishna. And he doesn't, try to make Maya okay. That's because Prabhupada's a pure devotee. And he can see our Maya, and he knows how to extract us from Maya. So they are entangled in these forms exactly as the insect becomes attracted to fire. So how do the senses entangle us? Why is it that the city of the 9 gates, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, the tongue, the mind, the legs, the hands, the rectum, the genitals, why do they entangle us? Because we identify with the body? Yeah, in one sense. But, I mean, they don't have to entangle us. A pure devotee has senses. Pure devotee has eyes. Pure devotee has legs. Pure devotees can have children. So why do the forms entangle us?
Get attached to them.
We're attached to them.
Don't have the proper relationships.
Very nice. We can't see them as they are. This is the issue. We're unable to see things as they are because of our conditioning in the modes of nature. We're not able to see forms as they are. So therefore the senses entangle us. They are entangled in these forms exactly as a insect becomes attracted to fire. So therefore the living entity becomes entangled in false form. So why can't we see things as they are? Why can't we see things as they are? Yeah, we're bewildered by the modes of material nature. Say that again?
We tend to see that here is not past the point.
I'm not understanding what you're saying.
Beyond ourselves, the bigger the vast.
What was the question?
I said, how do the senses entangle us? Why can't we see things as they are?
Because we don't see past the point. We see what we think we're looking at, and we're just happy with that.
Yeah, right. We have our mind. Our mind gets in the way. The reason we can't see things as they are is because of the modes of material nature. We're in the mode of passion and ignorance. We can't see things as they are. We're going to perceive things in a perverted way. Right, so Krishna explains this in the Bhagavad Gita very nicely. He says, the manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. So the manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates are illuminated by knowledge. Right? This is what we are understanding. When everything is illuminated by knowledge, when all the gates are fully illuminated, then we can see things as they are. It's kind of distracting. So we can't see things as they are because all the gates aren't necessarily illuminated by knowledge. There's various different ways and means we can see things. So when the gates of the body are contaminated by the modes, we're unable to perceive things in the proper way. So therefore we become entangled. And then Krishna says, O chief of Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. So when the senses are contaminated by the mode of passion, there's an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment. So therefore we find that when those same senses are influenced by passion, great attachment develops. So we become attached to the sense objects. Isn't this easily experienced? Because the mind is the aggregate of all the senses. It's what we have to also understand, that there's 5 senses generally we think of, where the ears, the eyes, the nose, the tongue, sense of touch. And as those things go, as that process works, then the mind gets involved. So if the mind is affected by passion, therefore we're going to see things the way we think, what we think we see. So much of the time we're not really perceiving with our senses. We're not seeing things as they are. Rather, we're seeing things through what we think or what we want to see, because the modes are influencing us. So this is how this works. So therefore, we become entangled. And so when that mode of passion is entering our mind, great attachment. What is this great attachment? One becomes very attached to the form, to the various manifestations of the material world. Prabhupada says, one in the mode of passion is never satisfied with the position he has already acquired. He hankers to increase his position. If he wants to construct a residential house, he tries his best to have a palatial house, as if he would be able to reside in that house eternally. As he develops a great hankering for sense gratification, there is no end to sense gratification. He always wants to remain with his family and in his house and to continue the process of sense gratification. There is no cessation of all this. All these symptoms should be understood as a characteristic of the mode of passion. So in this way, one's mind is becoming entangled by the mode of passion. And so therefore, one doesn't see these forms as they are. One's unable to perceive the reality. And so one becomes entangled in form. Right? There's so many good examples, but I'm not going to give them, because they're kind of gross. And then next, verse 13. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. So when one is influenced by the mode of ignorance, one doesn't see things as they are. One sees various illusions. One can't understand what a form really is. So in that way, because of passion and ignorance in the mind, tamas and rajas, we're unable to perceive these forms as they are. And so that mind is always processing data. It's whatever we're hearing, whatever we're tasting, whatever we're smelling, whatever we're perceiving, the mind is processing, and based on whatever contamination we have, whatever place in which our mind is, whatever mode we're situated in, then we're going to perceive that object that way. So therefore, for someone in the mode of passion, what could appear very beautiful is very ghastly for someone in the mode of goodness. And this is the real challenge that we have, that the mind is the aggregate sense, and we're not processing things right. We're not even understanding things as they are because of this contamination by the modes of material nature. And so what appears very wonderful is very miserable. Just like, say I want to make $1 million. How much work must go into making $1 million? So much work must go in. So much misery has to take place. That means I have to go get a job. I have to work very, very hard. I have to, Elon Musk sleeps at his factory, like 2 hours a night, So I have to work very, very hard simply so that I can have this $1 million, and then I won't enjoy. How will I enjoy? Say I fall in love, some beautiful person. Yes, now I have to work very hard. I have to do so many things preliminary, and then finally I get to be in love. And then I have to begin working more to maintain that position. So in that way, the senses bewilder us because of the mode of passion, because I deeply want to enjoy. I deeply want to enjoy. And it's natural to want to enjoy. We should want to enjoy. The living entity is meant to enjoy. But the living entity is not meant to enjoy in the mode of passion or the mode of ignorance. The mode of ignorance is even a better example. I want to enjoy. Let me go out and find some alcohol. Well, alcohol is a poison. You can pour alcohol on a little insect and the insect will just die out immediately. Because alcohol is poisonous. Yet the mode of ignorance makes us think this is very nice. Let me drink poison. Let me pour poison down my body. Let it retard my facilities and make me unable to perceive things as they are, and let me think this is enjoyment. Therefore, it's described in different purports by Srila Prabhupada that someone in the mode of ignorance, when they take intoxication, they think it's very nice. But someone in the mode of goodness, they become sick. And they say, I want to lay down because I'm not functioning properly. Because actually, this is a type of sickness. But because of the modes, I'm attracted to that. So the mode of ignorance conditions one to illusion, darkness, inertia, madness. And the mode of goodness or passion conditions one to fruitive activity. So what's this fruitive activity? It means now I'm going to endeavor intensely intense endeavor to try to enjoy my senses, and uncontrollable desire and hankering. Now, it's one of those things, the mode of passion is a good trap because it's like it feels good, but we can't stop. That's how the mode of passion works. It's nice, but then I can't stop. Now I'm addicted to this sense object. And so I will work very hard to try to enjoy. But that enjoyment is so fleeting. It's so fleeting. Fleeting, fleeting, fleeting. So therefore we have to control the mind. The mind is, we have to understand what mode our mind is in to really be able to see things as they are. When one sees things as they are, like Krishna says, the manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. Prabhupada says in the purport very nicely. There are 9 gates in the body, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, the mouth, the genitals, and the anus. When every gate is illuminated by the symptoms of goodness, it should be understood that one has developed the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, one can see things in the right position. One can hear things in the right position. One can taste things in the right position. One becomes cleansed inside and outside. In every gate, there is a development of the symptoms of happiness, and that is the position of goodness. So one actually understands what is beauty in the mode of goodness. One's not attracted to beautiful material forms because no one understands them as they are. Or with that knowledge, with that knowledge, one has jnana chakshush. Right? Jnana chakshush means I see with the eyes of knowledge. Therefore, I understand that material beauty, I can see through it. What's the illusion of material beauty? That, it's not actually so beautiful, is it? It's, blood and pus and, all these kind of unwanted substances. Or when we look at some beautiful material body, but the mind makes it beautiful. The mind makes it so attractive. We understand it as it is. Not that we denounce that it's ugly. We just see it as it is. And so this is something, like someone in the mode of goodness, they understand like mating, right? Like the devotees take a vow. We follow 4 regulative principles, right? We have no illicit sex, no intoxication, no meat eating, no gambling. And so what is illicit sex? Illicit sex is sex not inside of marriage. And furthermore, it's sex that's not for the purpose of procreation. So one in the mode of goodness can see that sex is for procreation. Isn't it just logical? It's logical. It's procreation. And people have a propensity to want to procreate. That's okay. That's mode of goodness. But mode of passion makes some story, the whole story about the whole thing, that it's something more than it really is. It's just this material propensity to procreate. And so then one gets that propensity to procreate. They get the mode of passion in there, and then that becomes so-called love, so-called material love. And in that love, what does it do? It burns like fire. Right? It's nectar in the beginning and fire in the end, poison in the end. So someone in the mode of goodness understands that this is just a material thing. It has nothing to do with real love. Not that couples can't have real love, but the real love is beyond this kind of mating propensity. You see? Rather, the mating propensity, engaged in Krishna consciousness, engaged in the service of the Lord, becomes an act of love for Krishna, and therefore increases the love we have for everybody. This is the real thing. So we can't see things as they are. So how do we develop real jnana and real sattva? Because we need goodness. We need to have goodness. How do we develop that real goodness so that we can see things as they are? What's the process? How do we develop sattva? Spiritual practices.
Anything that brings our senses to sattvic state.
Yeah.
Avoid the lower modes.
What?
Avoid the lower modes.
Yes, avoid the lower modes. Don't do things that are in the mode of ignorance. What about you, Jamuna? Do you have any advice as to how we can develop sattva? You're pretty sattvic. What's that? Krishna. It's beyond sattva, actually. That's Shuddha sattva. We're not there yet. Most of us aren't there yet. We just have to develop sattva by. We have a program. Prabhupada gives us a program for developing sattva. Actually, it's called sadhana bhakti. We wake up early, go to bed on time. We take Krishna prasadam in the mode of goodness, and we take, goodness food. That's food that can be offered to Krishna. No onions, no garlic, no mushrooms. We don't intoxicate. No illicit sex, no gambling, no meat eating. This puts us immediately in sattva gun. Because sattva gun is very easy to understand Krishna from there. Although one can become conditioned in sattva gun, they become conditioned to a sense of happiness and a sense of knowledge, and they think they're better than others. So we can't see things as they are. So how do we develop sattva? Actually, through jnana. We can develop, when we have knowledge, we can develop sattva. And we develop jnana through bhakti. So bhakti is kind of the key for all of these things. So when we develop bhakti, we naturally develop the sattva gun. We naturally develop jnana. Jnana means that we understand things as they are, right? I understand that I'm not this body. I'm not identifying with this body. I'm not identifying with the modes. And I see each body as it is. I see the form as it is. Prabhupada said once that, some devotee said, very nice sunset. Prabhupada said, if you were attached to that sunset, you'll have to take another birth to come enjoy it. So what to speak of us, right? We're attached to so many material things. But I mean, it's not a laughing matter. We don't want to take birth again. We don't want this again. This is no fun. Prabhupada did that many times in class. You hear devotees, Prabhupada says something, the devotees laugh. Prabhupada says, why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? This is not a laughing matter. Padmanayan Prabhu does that to me also. Why are you laughing? There's no laughing matter because we're serious. We're talking about suffering another birth, another round in this nonsense. So we don't want that. Therefore, we want to become detached. We want that jnana. And so we develop that jnana by really taking this bhakti process seriously. Take it seriously. It's very serious business. Of course, we can be lighthearted during it, but it's serious business. So we develop that jnana because, like I was explaining last night, bhakti means being who you are, being who you really are, because we're actually mamaivam sho jivaloke jiva bhuta sanatana. We're all part and parcels of Krishna. And so when we act like part and parcels of Krishna and we develop attachment to Krishna, then we naturally become detached. We become attached to Krishna. So therefore, it's very important that we surrender. We do things right. It's so sweet, actually, too. When you surrender to Krishna, he never does anything, too bad. He always gives you, he always helps you. He always gives you what you need. He may put you through a few days of trial, but he's always wonderful. So the mode of passion makes us ignore misery. This is the key thing here. The mode of passion and ignorance makes us ignore misery. And when we're in the mode of passion, we're very miserable. But thinking we're very happy. That's the thing. The mode of passion thinks I'm very happy, but I'm very miserable. Because why? Because I have to work so hard to get so little of something so temporary. That's how it works. How much work must I put into this mode of passion to try to enjoy? I mean, we have to work. There's no doubt about it. But devotees are working for Krishna. That's always fun. When you're working for Maya, she whips you and kicks you. Very, very brutal. Maya is like that. So you see this, that such people, they work very hard for very little. And there's many examples in Shastra. Like we hear in the 9th canto, King Pururava, one of the most, I would say, the most heavy-duty chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. King Pururava was a great king, and Urvasi, the Prabhupada likes to call them, Apsara, she's very beautiful, very, very beautiful, and so she was cursed to leave the heavenly planets, and she was wandering the earth. And she came across King Pururava. Pururava Maharaj saw her and completely overwhelmed by her beauty. I've never in my life seen anybody more beautiful than this. And, he was totally weak. And so what does he do? He says, you know what? I need to make that mine. So, my dear Urvasi, will you marry me? So Urvasi says, yes, I'll marry you on 2 conditions. 3 conditions, actually. One condition is that I only eat food cooked in ghee. Heavenly standard. So if you want to be a high class girl, only eat food cooked in ghee. I only eat food cooked in ghee. I don't ever want to see you naked unless we're engaged in sexual activity. And I want you to protect my 2 lambs. She had 2 lambs. And so this was the position. And so then, they got married, and Pururava was enjoying like anything. He was totally absorbed. Urvasi's the greatest thing. She's so this, she's so that. Wow. Totally unable to see the reality of the situation. And so then Indra was up in heaven, and he's looking around at his different, society girls dancing. Where's Urvasi? I don't see Urvasi. Bring her back. No, it's Indra. She's down on earth. She's married to King Pururava. Well, send some Gandharvas down, and they can help. They can mess up the whole situation between Urvasi and Pururava. So some Gandharvas come down, and they steal the lambs. And Urvasi, she's so sweet and so nice, and then she says something very brutal. They're laying in bed, and the lambs get taken, and Urvasi says, "You're killing me, you weak man." She says, she criticizes. And so then when we're criticized in the mode of passion, in the mode of goodness, if you get criticized, not so big deal. I don't really care too much. In the mode of passion, when you get criticized, stings so much worse when you're in the mode of passion. And then to be criticized by the woman, much worse. When I was in Mayapur, me and my god sister Yuvati, we got in a little fight once because we were trying to do this Vyas Puja, and she criticized me in front of the entire Russian community and became very fiery. I went into mode of passion. I criticized her back, and there proceeded to be a little bit of a match that took place, and I had to apologize for my offenses. So she's a fiery lady. She said, "What kind of disciple are you?" Right in front of the whole Russian community. I said, "What kind of disciple are you?" So anyhow, but right, when we're criticized in that passionate mode, it's much worse, and we react. And so Pururava, he was stung by her words. She said, "You're killing me, you weak man," essentially. So he got up naked. Pretty crazy scene here. He gets out of bed naked. He picks up a sword, and he runs out to attack the Gandharvas. And this is Indra's, power here. That as he's going, these Gandharvas light up, and then he's coming back in, and then Urvasi sees him naked, and she's like, "All right, I'm done." And so she just gets up and leaves. Up and leaves him. And so because of that attachment in the mode of passion, he was totally wrecked and distraught. He didn't get what he wanted. And this is kind of an extreme example, but the point is we'll never get what we want in the modes. We will never get what we want materially. There's no question of us getting what we want. Remember that. It's like the genie. It's always some bargain. It's always some we're dealing with Maya, and then we're dealing with Krishna on top of that. We're devotees. You think Krishna is going to let us get what we want in Maya? Think Krishna is going to let us enjoy? No way. No way he's going to let us enjoy. So remember that. So anyhow, for Rava, he's totally devastated, and he's like, he starts wandering the three worlds seeking this girl. He comes to her and she says, my dear king, my dear hero, you're a hero. Why are you crying? Why are you being weak like this? You should know better. You should have known that I'm a manifestation of Maya, and that, I'm cruel-hearted, And he goes on to say some other things, but I don't want to get any emails, so I'm not going to go there. But he says some heavy stuff. She says some very heavy stuff to him about the nature of this mode of passion, women in the mode of passion, men in the mode of passion. So he doesn't take his word. So she's like, all right, you can sleep with me one night a year for the point of having children. And so he says, okay, And then, he would just go one night a year, and then the whole rest of the year he would be just thinking about her. And so then they were like, God, have some compassion. So they sent down this other Apsara who looked just like her. But then he was able to tell that this isn't her. Vishwanath Thakur gives a colorful purport on that. But he was able to tell this isn't her. And so, eventually he came to his senses and realized, what am I doing? I've been caught up for years in this passion. Because he couldn't see things as they are. He couldn't see how miserable he was. He was living for this association, which is so fleeting, so temporary, but he was living for it as if it's his goal. And there's so many other examples too. Ravana had it all. Ravana had a city of gold. He had a harem of women, actually. Ravana had so many beautiful women, but he had to enjoy Sita. He needed to enjoy Sita. This is an example of why the material world is the way it is. We're exploiting material nature. We're exploiting the cow. We're exploiting the earth. We're exploiting the girl. All the mothers are being exploited. This is the problem. There's no respect. And so, therefore, she was attacked. So he attacked Sita. It was manifestation of Mother Earth, right? And he wanted to enjoy her, but he couldn't enjoy her. And so he had to die by the hands of Lord Ram. So if we think that we're going to take something from material nature and try to enjoy some material form, then we're going to suffer. And we see that in the world today. They find a beautiful place and then they destroy it. That's basically because they want to enjoy it, they got to destroy it. That's the way it goes. You go to a place like Sedona, so beautiful. You see, let's just put construction all over it. Let's destroy it in so many ways. It's worse in India, right? You have a beautiful place like Mayapur, so beautiful, so wonderful. And people think, oh, we can make money here. Let us destroy all the natural beauty of Mayapur and put, hundreds and hundreds of apartment buildings, and then there's no Mayapur left. It's just a city, a dirty city. Of course, the spiritual element is there, but we want to destroy that material beauty. Because the more we enjoy it, the more we're going to destroy it. Also, Indra. How many times did Indra want to enjoy? We heard Sureshwar colorfully tell the story of Gautama and his wife and how Indra wanted to enjoy, and he ended up with the curse, the eyeballs on his body. And there's so many different ways that the living entity tries to enjoy. Indra wanted to enjoy in various ways, and in that way he became punished because of this propensity to want to enjoy. So we can't enjoy these forms. On the other hand, a spiritual person, someone really enlightened, he can see material beauty and he can understand it, he can acknowledge it, but he doesn't wish to enjoy it. Rather, he wishes to glorify it. This is the opposite. This is the genuine way to appreciate beauty and to appreciate material facilities, is that we actually offer them back to Krishna by making them devotees, by encouraging people in Krishna consciousness, like Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was a great sadhu. He was chanting the 300,000 names of the Lord a day, 128 rounds every day. And we hear about Ramachandra Khan became envious of Haridas Thakur. Said, I'm envious, this Haridas. And so he decided he was going to ruin Haridas's reputation by sending a prostitute. So he found the most beautiful prostitute. And she was so beautiful and she was so lusty. She said, actually, I want to do it. I want to go make Haridas fall down because he's such a beautiful young man. He's so, effulgent, and he's so saintly. And so she said, let me have one night with him, and the next night you can come and capture us. And so she went and she knocked, my dear Haridas, she, I'm just, you're so beautiful and you're so sweet. Please enjoy with me. I can't, and my body's burning. I need to have union with you. Haridas said, yeah, okay, I understand. I will finish my rounds first, though. I'm running behind on my rounds. Let me finish my rounds. Haridas chanted his rounds, kept chanting. And by the time the night was over, he hadn't finished his rounds. He said, well, come back tomorrow night, and we can enjoy. I promise you this. And so we know the story. She came back the next night and said, all right, just let me finish my rounds, and then we will enjoy. And we can't imagine how beautiful Haridas Thakur is. He's like a deva, You really can't imagine how beautiful he is. And so, he's chanting. This girl is so beautiful also. And she starts, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. She starts chanting a little bit. And the next night she comes, she begins to chant. And then from that purification of associating with Haridas, she, admits to Haridas, I came here to make you fall down. But, now I realize the sinfulness of my ways. And I want to become a devotee. So Haridas says, shave your head, sit in this hut, plant a Tulsi plant, and chant Hare Krishna. So we see that Haridas could have enjoyed that material facility. Rather, he glorified it by offering it to Krishna, you see. So it's one of the ways we can transform lust into love, is that whenever there's an opportunity to indulge in lust, we, rather than indulge in it, we offer it to Krishna. We glorify that personality, that beauty, by engaging it in Krishna's service. And then there's a higher pleasure that's arisen from that. Let me encourage you in Krishna consciousness. And love is there, but the lust is gone. The lust element is gone. And so that's the very powerful transformation. And so such a person can see these forms as they are. That's why a material person, a spiritually advanced person, yehi sham sparsha jaboga, dukkha yonya evate adiyata vanta kantaya nateshu ramate buddha. That such a person who's spiritually advanced, he sees that the sense objects are dukkha yonya evate. They're the womb of misery. He sees that if I try to enjoy this sense object, it's a dukkha yonya. It's the literal womb of misery. And because such happiness has a beginning and an end. So a wise man doesn't delight in that. So sometimes a wise man or a spiritual personality may find himself in material facilities, but he does not delight in it. So when we find ourselves delighting in material things and in material happiness, we should understand that I'm just as entangled. I'm just as deep in the woods as I would be if I was suffering like anything and caught up in it. I'm doing tons of austerities. I'm, sitting in the hot, sun and all my different austerities, and I'm wet. But it's the same way if I'm trying to enjoy. It's the same other side of it. The austerities are useless. So we understand matra sparshasta konteya sitoshna sukha dukkha, that I'm equal, I'm stable. I'm not disturbed by happiness or distress. I remain steady in both. And therefore I become eligible for liberation. So in this way, one can see form as it is. They can see properly form. They can understand, appreciate, but they don't become entangled in it. They're not like moths to flame. And this takes intelligence. How do we develop intelligence? Sharp intelligence comes from good sadhana. Sharp intelligence comes from good sadhana. In that way, we can maintain the mode of goodness. And we quote this verse every day this week, but it's worth it to quote it again. Is aho deho de abhajam nirloke kastan kamanarte vidbhujanye tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shudyad yasmad brahma saukyam tvanantam. Lord Rishabdev says that we shouldn't try to enjoy that happiness which is available for the hogs, dogs, camels, and asses. Rather, one should tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam. We should engage in divine austerity by which we can develop the mode of goodness. And then Brahma Sokyam Tunantam, which gives us that everlasting happiness, divine position of devotional service, which is Brahma Sokyam Tunantam. It's never ending and always increasing. This is the process. This is real human life. Tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam. Shuddhyad yasmin brahma sokyam tunantam. Let us engage in these activities. And therefore we'll see things as they are. That's the way. That's the better way. So if we find ourselves in some material situation, don't become bewildered by it. Realize that this is just a simple trick of Maya. Maybe I have my duty, I have to do what I have to do with it, but this is not happiness. This is not real pleasure. This is not satisfaction. This is simply a very fleeting illusion. It'll be gone just like that. In a second, within a few days, it'll be gone. And it'll just be the way things are, which is just tolerate. That's what it all comes down to in the material world. All the happiness, all the distress, all the so-called love, simple tolerance, tolerate it. And real love will come when we try to become servants of Krishna. Let me serve Krishna. Then you can have real love you can see people, you can see form as it is, but you see beyond material form, you see spiritual form. You see someone that they're a nice servant of Krishna. Let me love them because they're a nice servant of Krishna. And the king is if you have that reality, you don't take ownership of anything. It's all an illusion, this ownership. My wife, my husband, my house, whatever. It's all Krishna's. Therefore, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Nasochati Nakankshati Sama Sarvesha Bhuteshu. Sama Sarvesha Bhuteshu sees all the living entities on the spiritual platform. So no, I'm not seeing the form anymore. I'm not trying to take ownership. That's Krishna consciousness. That's what we want. Any questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu.
I have a question on how do you gain sharp intelligence again?
Yeah. Good sadhana means good spiritual practice, good chanting, good reading. If we're not reading every day, if we're not chanting, if we're not reading, nicely, we're not chanting japa, then we don't have the clear mind to be able to see things as they are. Because we're not getting enough spiritual taste, we're not getting enough spiritual experience to have faith in the Shastras. When you have a taste of Krishna, it's very easy to realize that Maya's... Don't touch that. Touch that. Very easy to tell. Taste of Krishna. A little bit of taste. Like something that we were hearing last night, Narada Muni, he just saw Krishna one time, that was it. He just totally gave his entire life to Krishna. No, we see Krishna every day, but because we don't have the intelligence, we look at the deity and we think, yes, deity is very nice, but material form is even nicer. So therefore we need that sharp intelligence. Now I think I'll tell this story just because it's a funny one, is that when I was in my Bhakti Shastri class, there was one very eccentric Prabhupada disciple actually. He liked to ask really kind of strange questions of these brahmacharis, these chaupati. These guys are the sharpest of the sharp. And this brahmachari is the smartest person I've ever met, hands down. No bars. Like he quit his job at NASA to become a brahmachari. And this man asked him, he says, just kind of a strange question to ask in a class. He goes, what if I see a woman and I want to touch her? And the brahmachari, without even repeating, without even thinking, he said, how long can you touch her? And it was such a moment, it's like really, how long can you enjoy? So he had the intelligence to see this, to see beyond this falsity. So yeah, when we read and we chant, then our intelligence becomes sharp. And we can discern between that which is and that which is not. But yeah, we can understand this is not what I want. This is not going to make me happy. And we can cut the bonds. Maya's like a slave driver. It's just like, we know, deep down we know that it's not going to work. We're going to go down into Maya, whatever it is we're trying to do in Maya. And that's how it is. But because so therefore it's like there's a sense of conflict, especially for devotees. It's like, because we know Krishna is the truth, but then it's like we want to enjoy still. So there's conflict. But when we have intelligence, we can easily understand, no, I'm going to be detached. Still, we'll have to face our karma. We're not going to avoid the material circumstances, whatever they are, whatever ashram or position or varna we're in. We're not going to avoid that, but at least we have the intelligence to see it as it is. That's the point we're making here. We don't make our what is, I'm running on time, but I'm going to make this point because it's a really good point I should have brought up. What is it that, is said by Shukadev Goswami? First thing he says, Shrotav Yadini Rajendra Ninam Santi Sastrasha Pashyatam Atmatadam Griheshu Grihamadinam. How do you know someone's a Grihamadi? When they speak nonsense. They're absorbed in so many topics in human society because they don't have any knowledge of the absolute truth. And he says, Nidraya Hriyate Vyaktam Yavyayena Chabavayaha Diva Chartehaya Rajam Kutumba Baranenava. Such an envious householder spends their days making money and maintaining family members and their nights sleeping and having sex. That's material life in one verse. Therefore, Deha Patya Kalatradish Atma Sanyash Vasatabi Tesham Paramato Nidhanam Pashyanapina Pashyati. They take shelter of fallible soldiers like body, children, and wife. And even though they see everything is just falling apart in this world, they don't realize that it's happening to them. And therefore they miss this opportunity. And so the conclusion is, what is Shukadev Goswami's confusion is, no matter what you do, Etavan Sankhya Yoga Byam Swadhamar Parnishtaya, whether you're a Sankhya, you're analyzing, whether you're a yogi, whether you're doing your dharma, Janma Lava Parapumsam Ante Narayana Smriti. The goal is that at the end of life, let me remember Narayan. The only way we can remember Narayan at the end of life is we become attached to Narayan. We become attached to Narayan by following this process seriously. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Take it seriously. Haribo, all glory to Srila Prabhupada, Grantha Rashmi Bhagavatam ki.